The cold ground of exile, the wind howled across the dry plains of the outer colony world of Dralos 5. The air was thin, and dust clouds rolled over the rocks like slow waves. Under a sharp gray sky, a lone figure stumbled forward. She was tall, her skin pale blue with faint silver lines down her arms. In her arms, wrapped tightly in a thin cloak, was a small child. Her name was Lyra, and her son, barely 4 cycles old, clung to her chest. Both looked tired, hungry, and afraid. Her clan had turned against her. Lyra had broken a law written by prideful leaders who valued rules more than life. Her son had been born from a forbidden union, a mix of her kind and another. 4. That they called her impure. The council stripped her name from the records and forced her out. Her own people had thrown stones, their faces cold and proud. None came to help. None looked twice when she cried. That was 3 days ago. Now she wandered the edge of the human farmlands, where alien and Earth territory met. She had heard stories of humans wild, unpredictable, dangerous. But she also heard that some were kind. She prayed those stories were true. The boy, named Tari, whimpered softly. He hadn't eaten properly in 2 days. Lyra looked out toward the long stretch of green, ahead fields carefully grown with alien-resistant crops. Somewhere out there was a farmhouse. Maybe they would turn her away. Maybe they would shoot. But she had no more places to run. She walked with shaking legs past the wooden fence. Machines whirred in the distance. She saw a home small, old, with smoke curling from its chimney. Then the door opened. A man stepped out. He looked older than the rocks around him. His beard was long and white, his shoulders broad. His hands were rough from work, and his eyes were tired, but clear. He stared at her for a long time. Lyra did not speak. She dropped to her knees and held out her child. She said only 2 words. In broken English she had practiced long ago. Help. Please. The man did not move for a moment. Then he stepped forward. He knelt beside her, checked the boy's forehead, and looked into Lyra's eyes. She expected anger. She expected fear. But he only sighed. Come inside, he said softly. Lyra could not hold her tears. Inside the house, warmth wrapped around her like a blanket. There was a soft fire, clean water, and food that smelled like home. The man didn't speak much. He moved slowly, like he had seen too many winters. But he placed the child on a soft chair, covered him in blankets, and gave him something warm to drink. Lyra tried to speak. She wanted to explain. She wanted to say she would not stay long, but the man raised a hand. No need, he said. You're safe here. He gave his name Ben, a farmer from Earth, settled on Dralos 5 before her people ever arrived. He had lived alone since his wife passed. No children, no family. Just the land. I don't get visitors, he said. But maybe it's time that changed. Lyra watched him carefully. She was still afraid, still unsure. But her son was sleeping for the first time in days, and her heart, though cracked, felt just a little lighter. Ben placed more logs on the fire. You'll stay the night, he said. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow. But outside, on the ridges above the farm, another figure watched. A scout from her former clan had tracked her trail. He marked the house on his tablet and sent a silent message back to the council. Lyra was not forgotten. And the council did not forgive. Asterisk whispers on the wind morning came slowly on Dralos 5. The cold wind had calmed, and golden light stretched across the fields. Inside the small house, peace had taken root, at least for a while. Lyra opened her eyes to the smell of something unfamiliar but pleasant. She sat up on the couch, still wrapped in the warm blanket Ben had given her. Tari was curled up beside her, his little face calm for the first time in days. In the kitchen, Ben was cooking something in a metal pan. He turned slightly and gave her a small nod. "Morning," he said. "You and the boy sleep okay?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, thank you." Her voice was still rough. Ben placed 2 plates on the table. "It's not much. Just eggs and roots, but it'll fill you." She hesitated before sitting. "You don't ask questions." "I figure you'll tell me what matters when you're ready," Ben replied. "Besides, stories hurt more when forced out." Lyra looked at the food, then at the man. She couldn't understand him. He asked for nothing. He offered without demand. "Why help me?" she asked. "I'm not your kind. I'm cast out." Ben took a long sip of his drink. "My wife used to say kindness is what we give when no one else will. And I reckon you and that boy need some." Tears filled her eyes again, but she quickly blinked them away. She couldn't cry in front of her son. She had to be strong. After breakfast, Lyra helped Ben in the fields. Her body was still weak, but she insisted. Ben taught her how to operate the watering units, how to check soil samples, and how to feed the barn animals. I played in the dirt nearby, laughing as a small field drone hovered around him. For a moment, Lyra almost forgot the pain behind her, but trouble was never far from the farm. Inside the glowing halls of her clan's central dome, the scout's message reached the council. The lead elder, tall and cloaked in black ceremonial robes, slammed his staff to the floor. "She was told never to return," he growled. "And now she finds shelter among humans?" Another elder spoke, her voice sharp. "It is a breach of our law. If she is protected by one of their kind, we risk exposure. We must act." A third added, "Humans are not like us. If they see weakness, they spread like vines. Her presence among them could be dangerous." The decision was made quickly. "Send a warning," the lead elder ordered. "The human farmer will be given a chance to hand her over. If he refuses, we deal with them both." Back at the farm, Ben handed Lyra a pair of worn gloves. "You pick it up fast," he said with a half-smile. "Most folks take a month to get the irrigation lines working. You did it in a day." Lyra smiled, just a little. "I used to care for plants in the dome. Before before everything." Ben leaned on his shovel. "You know, I've lived on this rock for 20 years. Folks come and go. But you're different. You've got pain in your steps, but fire in your heart." She looked down. "My kind would rather forget me. They said I shamed them. That Tari was an error." Ben looked over at the boy. "He looks like a miracle to me." Lyra's lips trembled. That night, they sat around the fire again. Ben played an old song on a dusty device. Tari fell asleep in Lyra's lap, his breathing steady. "I don't have much," Ben said, "but if you want to stay here, you can." Lyra stared into the fire. "I want to believe it can last," she whispered. "But I know my people. They won't let me go so easily." Ben stood up. "Let them come," he said. "This is my home, and now it's yours too." But outside the house, something moved through the trees. A sleek, dark drone hovered silently, its red eye flashing once before disappearing into the night. The warning was already on its way. Asterisk. The council's warning morning broke, with soft rain tapping against the window. Lyra stood near the edge of the porch, holding a cup of warm water wrapped in one of Ben's spare coats. Behind her, Tari still slept peacefully in the warm cabin. Ben stepped outside, pulling on his boots. "Sky's crying today," he muttered, glancing up. "That means good crops, but bad news." Lyra gave a soft, uneasy nod. Her heart felt heavy, though nothing yet had changed. Then came the sound, A low hum echoed across the field, steady and sharp. Ben narrowed his eyes and turned. A sleek black hoverpod glided above the farm's path and slowed to a stop near the gate. The symbol etched on the side was unmistakable. Lyra froze. "It's the council," she whispered. "They found me." From the hoverpod stepped a tall figure in a silver suit, face covered by a dark visor. A smooth voice came through the speaker on its chest. "You harbor a criminal of our kind. Return her or face consequences." Ben stepped forward, hat in hand, face unreadable. "She's no criminal," he said calmly. "She's a mother. And she's safe here. She violated our laws. The child is an abomination. If you interfere, Earth's agreement with the Council may be revisited." Ben's expression didn't change. "You're talking about a child. A harmless little boy. And a woman thrown away like trash." He paused. "So tell your council something from me. No one's taking them, not while I'm still breathing." The drone's voice sharpened. "You have one day. Then we come back." The pod lifted silently into the rain, vanishing into the low clouds. Lyra stood shaking, arms wrapped tight around herself. You don't have to do this. If they attack, you'll lose everything." Ben looked back at her. "I already lost everything once. My wife, my future. I know what grief is, and I won't watch it happen to you, not if I can stop it." Inside the house, Ben began preparing. He moved tools, checked old systems in the barn, and powered up a rusted satellite dish. He wasn't a soldier, but he wasn't helpless either. "I used to run security for a farming colony back home," he explained. "Never saw war, but I learned a few things." Lyra helped where she could. She was no fighter, but she moved fast and followed his instructions carefully. They set up motion sensors near the field edges and checked the generator. "Why fight?" "For me?" she asked again. Ben turned to her and said simply, "Because I still believe kindness matters. And because you didn't deserve what they did." That night, the house felt quieter than usual. Lyra tucked Tari into bed and then sat near the fire with Ben. "I should run," she said softly. "If I leave, they won't hurt you." Ben shook his head. "Running only teaches them they can do what they want. Standing shows them we're more than they think." Far away, inside the council's chamber, the elders received Ben's refusal. The lead elder slammed his staff down. "Enough. Send the enforcers. Burn the house if you must." "But Earth may respond," warned another. "Then let Earth come. We will not bend for humans." Back at the farm, the storm had cleared. Stars sparkled overhead. Lyra sat on the porch with Ben. "Do you regret helping me?" she asked. Ben looked out at the stars. "No," he said. "Some choices are hard, but this one was easy." Then came the sound again, only louder. Engines, multiple, coming fast. Lyra's. Breath caught in her throat. "They're here." Asterisks stand on the soil-bright lights, cut through the night like burning spears. 3 black transport ships hovered above Ben's farm, casting long shadows over the land. The hum of their engines rattled the windows. Lyra grabbed Tari and backed into the house. Ben stood at the doorway, his face calm but tense. "They came faster than I expected." He muttered. From the ships dropped figures, tall, armored, and cloaked in silver and black. Council enforcers. Each held a stun rifle, and their boots cracked against the ground like thunder. The leader stepped forward, visor gleaming. "This is your last warning, human. Give up the alien and the child, or face the price." Ben didn't move. "She stays. They stay. You want them, you come through me." The enforcer's tone grew colder. "You're making a grave mistake." Ben pointed to the edge of the porch. "That's my soil, my home. You don't get to threaten people here." The enforcer raised his hand. Take them. Suddenly, the field lit up with a pulse of blue. One of the enforcers stumbled as a sensor mine under the grass went off. Another tripped over a wire Ben had hidden beneath the porch steps. The farm wasn't a fortress, but Ben had prepared. Lyra, hiding behind the wall, hugged Tari tightly. The boy watched her face, sensing her fear. She whispered in his ear, "Stay here. Be still." Outside, Ben moved fast for an old man. He grabbed a shock tool from his belt and swung it at the first enforcer who stepped on the porch. The armored figure stumbled back, sparks dancing along his shoulder plate. Ben ducked behind a post as plasma bolts lit the air. His old satellite dish, now wired with pulse reflectors, bounced a few blasts back toward the trees. Thought it wasn't perfect, but it bought time. Lyra crept out, holding one of Ben's repurposed signal grenades. She had no training, but she had instinct. She tossed it toward the left flank of the enforcers, where it exploded in a brilliant flash of disorienting light. One enforcer dropped his weapon. Ben used the moment to leap forward and knock another into the mud. "You're not taking anyone today," the lead enforcer shouted through his combs. "This is taking too long. End this." The troops raised their weapons. A deadly charge built up. But just as they fired, a blinding beam sliced through the clouds above. Then another. And another dot. The enforcers froze. From the sky, 2 sleek black ships descended, marked with the Earth Council's seal. Their sides read, "Terran Peace Corps Emergency Division." A deep voice echoed through the speaker systems. "Stand down. You are violating Treaty Code 74A. Any further action will be considered an act of war." The enforcers hesitated. The Terran ships hovered low, hatches opening. Human soldiers stepped out tall, armored and ready. Their leader walked forward with steady steps. "Your council broke the rules," a Terran officer said. "This woman is under Terran protection." "She stays here?" The alien commander growled, but lowered his weapon. "This isn't over," he hissed. "You're right," the human officer replied. "But if you ever return here like this again, it will be." The alien forces retreated to their ships. Within minutes, the sky was silent once more. Ben leaned on the porch railing, breathing heavy, knuckles bruised. Lyra ran to him. "You're hurt." "Nothing serious," Ben grinned, wiping dirt from his beard. "Just old bones." The human officer walked over. "You all right, sir?" Ben nodded. "Thanks for showing up. Council drone saw everything," the officer replied. "We were already nearby. You did good." He looked at Lyra. "You're safe now. If you want, we can transport you to an Earth-protected zone." Lyra looked to Tari, then to Ben. "No," she said. "We stay?" Ben placed a hand on her shoulder. "Your family now," the officer smiled. "Then Earth will mark this place as protected territory. No Council enforcer will step foot here again." As the Terran ships lifted off into the stars, Lyra stood with her son and the old farmer beneath the quiet sky. She was no longer alone. The seeds of peace days passed, and calm returned to the little farm. The scorched grass from the battle began to regrow, and the sky returned to its soft blue. Lyra stood in the fields again, this time with a new sense of purpose. Beside her, Ben adjusted an old irrigation valve, wiping sweat from his brow. "Still leaks a little," he grumbled, tightening the screw again. "I'll fix it right after I finish rebuilding that east fence." "You never stop working," Lyra smiled gently. Ben chuckled. "A farm doesn't run itself." Nearby, Tari played with a small robotic plow, giggling as it bumped into rocks and turned in circles. He had made it his new toy, though it was technically one of Ben's backup machines. "You know," Ben said as he wiped dirt from his hands, "he's a bright kid. Learns fast." Got into the solar controls yesterday and actually improved the energy output. Lyra's eyes widened. He did? He did, Ben nodded. Some people see differences and call them wrong. I see them and call it potential. Lyra looked out over the land. I want to help. Not just here, but beyond, for others like me. Ben leaned on the fence and watched her carefully. That's a big goal. I've lived in silence too long, she said. If Earth will allow it I want to speak. I want to tell others what really happened, what the Council did, what kindness looks like, what humans are truly capable of. Ben looked up at the sky. Earth might listen. A week later, a Terran official arrived on the farm in a clean, gray diplomatic shuttle. She introduced herself as Captain Rain from the Earth Liaison Office. We've received full reports from our intervention team, she explained, sitting at the farmhouse table. And the footage was powerful. The galaxy is already asking questions. Lyra sat quietly across from her, hands in her lap. I'm not asking for revenge, Lyra said. I just want the truth told. Rain nodded. We'd like to give you a platform, a chance to speak before the Neutral Systems Council. Not just about what happened, but what peace could look like. From your voice, not ours. Lyra looked to Ben, who gave her a small nod. And I'll do it, she said. Not just for me, for all the ones who were cast aside and had nowhere to go. Rain smiled. You'll have Terran protection every step of the way. Back in the fields, Ben watched as two engineers helped Lyra and Tari board the shuttle. The boy waved from the ramp, holding a small stuffed animal Ben had given him, an old Earth rabbit toy, patched at the seams. You'll do good, Ben called out. Don't forget the soil that fed you. Lyra smiled softly. Never. As the shuttle lifted into the sky, Ben stood alone for a moment. But only for a moment. The sound of boots approached. A few volunteers from nearby farms had come to help rebuild the fence and repair the barn. One of them, a young woman, walked up and handed Ben a bag of seeds. I heard your farm gave shelter to someone the galaxy tried to erase, she said. I want to help plant something that matters. Ben looked at the seed bag, then at the land. Then let's plant something new. Far beyond the planet, in a massive station orbiting the Neutral System's capital world, Lyra stepped onto. A wide stage, cameras buzzed. Delegates whispered. She stood tall, her son by her side, and spoke into the microphone. My name is Lyra. I was cast out by my own kind, punished for giving life to a child they called broken. But I was not alone. A human saved me. He gave me water, food, shelter, and dignity without asking for anything in return. This is what true power looks like. Kindness without condition. The room fell silent. She continued. The laws that banish mothers like me must change. The silence must end. And if the stars are to be shared, then compassion must be louder than fear. Back on the farm, Ben turned on the radio. The news reporter's voice came through clearly. And today, the speech of the exile-turned-advocate is being hailed as a turning point for interspecies rights. Ben sat on the porch, staring at the fields. He smiled. The fire spreads news of Lyra's speech traveled faster than light. Across systems, colonies, and ships, beings of all kinds watched the recording. Some sat in silence. Some cried. Others stood and clapped even when no one was watching. Planet Ternas 9, a group of exiled mothers gathered in a quiet shelter. They had long hidden their mixed-blood children from the public eye. After seeing Lyra speak, they stepped out of hiding and showed their children to the world. On Hera Station, a popular galactic journalist ran a segment titled The Farmer's Gift, Humanity's Quiet Revolution. The video featured Ben standing beside Lyra, footage of him repairing his fences and smiling as Tari helped with seedlings. Ben didn't speak much in the video. He didn't need to. The world already knew who he was, the man who didn't look away. Meanwhile, the council who once exiled Lyra found themselves in trouble. The elders faced questions. Investigations opened. Protests rose on their own planets, led by younger generations tired of the old ways. Their decision to cast out a mother and her child was no longer seen as tradition. It was seen as cruelty. Her blood is impure, the lead elder declared during a press meeting. And across the stars, someone replied, her kindness is not. Back on Dralos 5, Ben's farm began to change. Volunteers arrived, humans, aliens, and hybrids. People who wanted to help. People who believed in second chances. Some came to learn farming, others just to touch the soil where change had started. Ben, though surprised, welcomed each one. You work hard, you eat well, he said with a smile. Lyra returned after her speech, bringing with her messages of support, offers of help, and an idea. I want to turn this farm into something more, she told Ben. A safe place. A school. A home for anyone who's been pushed out like I was. Ben rubbed his chin. You'll need more beds. And a bigger table. I already started designing them, Lyra said proudly, showing him sketches. They worked side by side, planting, building, teaching. The small farm slowly transformed into a beacon. Children of mixed races learned together in a greenhouse classroom. Widows from collapsed colonies helped grow crops that fed dozens. Even a retired engineer from Earth built new solar panels using. Scrapped out every night, they all sat around one fire. And every night, Ben would tell them the same thing. This place? It runs on more than just soil. It runs on people who remember how to care. But not everyone accepted the change. A rogue faction, loyal to the old council, began sending messages. Angry, hateful. They wanted the farm gone. They called it a stain. One night, Lyra found a threat painted on the outer barn wall. 4 red symbols. One word beneath it, traitors. She showed Ben. He didn't flinch. I expected this, he said. We should ask for protection, Lyra urged. Ben nodded slowly. We will, but first we send a message. The next day, they invited reporters to the farm. Lyra stood in front of the barn with the painted threat still visible behind her. She didn't hide it. Instead, she looked straight at the camera. We are not afraid, she said, because fear is how silence grows, and kindness ... is how it ends. Her voice reached billions again. Later that week, a shipment of protective drones arrived from Earth. Not weapons, just sentries to watch the perimeter. A gesture of support. The Terran Peace Council released a public statement. The farmer who offered shelter to a stranger showed more strength than any armada. We stand with them. As stars blinked overhead, Lyra tucked Tari into bed again, just like the first night she met Ben. Are we safe now? The boy asked. Lyra kissed his forehead. We are stronger than before, and we're not alone anymore. She stepped outside to find Ben watering a row of saplings. Tomorrow, she said softly, we start building the East Wing. Ben smiled. Then we'd better get some rest. Asterisk where hope grows seasons passed on DRA Lost-5. Where once there was only dirt and silence. Now life moved in every corner of Ben's land. The farm had become something more, a haven. The East Wing Lyra designed stood tall, now half greenhouse, half learning center. Children of many species ran through its halls. Their laughter echoed across the fields. Some were quiet and unsure at first, much like Tari had been. But with time and warmth, they bloomed. Tari, now older and stronger, helped Ben each morning. The boy had grown curious, smart, and brave. He didn't just plant crops, he asked why they grew the way they did. And he had begun writing his own stories, too. They should know, he told his mother one evening, what it means to be helped. What kindness looks like. Lyra smiled proudly. Then write, my son. Tell them everything. Ben moved slower. These days, his hands were stiffer, his steps more careful. But his eyes still carried that same fire. He no longer worked the fields alone. A team of helpers farmers, engineers, teachers, and refugees worked together like a family. One of them, a young alien girl with 6 fingers and bright green eyes, had named one of the gardens Hope Patch. That name stuck. A small statue now stood near the garden's edge. It showed a human farmer kneeling to help, a cloaked alien woman holding a child. Under it, carved in 3 languages, were the words, "Kindness needs no permission." The Galactic. Impact continued to grow. Systems that once turned away mixed species families began opening new protections. Policies shifted. The old council collapsed under its own pride and was replaced by younger voices, many of whom had once lived in silence. Lyra was invited to join Earth's Interstellar Rights Committee, but she declined. I belong on the soil, she said. That's where real change starts. Instead, she created something new, the Hearthlight Program, an alliance of safe farms, shelters, and learning centers across human and alien colonies, all modeled after Ben's farm. Each one was started with the same promise. You are safe. You are seen. You are home. One evening, as stars bloomed in the dark sky above, Ben sat on the porch with Lyra beside him. She poured him warm tea. They watched as children danced near the fire. You ever think it would come to this? She asked. Ben chuckled softly. Didn't even think it'd come to morning sometimes. She laughed too, a gentle sound full of peace. You changed everything, she said. No, he said, looking out across the field. You did. I just gave a place for it to happen. A soft breeze passed over the fields. The crops swayed like waves. Somewhere out there, the seeds they had planted continued to grow, not just in the soil, but in hearts. The galaxy would remember wars, treaties, and battles, but some would always remember a different kind of moment, a tired alien mother, a quiet old farmer, and the day kindness changed the stars.